Hello, so today we are going to look at the civil courts, and this playlist will include ADRs as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the jurisdiction of the civil courts. Now, if you see that word jurisdiction, it just means power. So don't worry, it's a very simple word, and it just means what can each court do? What does each court in the civil system deal with? So first of all, we're going to look at the courts that hear a case in the first instance. So this means it's the very first time the case has been heard. We don't really discuss magistrates in the civil system because they deal with some licensing issues, and it's the county court that deals with most of the cases. So first of all, what does the county court do? Well, technically, there's only one county court, and then it sits in lots of different cities, and that's under the Crime and the Courts Act 2013. They try most civil cases. The case will be heard by a single judge. There's no juries in civil cases. And the judge will listen to the legal arguments, and then they will decide who has won. So they decide liability. They can then award compensation, and they can order the other party, the losing party, to pay costs. Now, within the county court, you have the track system. So there are 3 tracks. And what happens before we look at tracks, in terms of issuing a claim, you issue an N1 form. You can do that online or in paper, and then that's filed at the appropriate court. There is a fee to pay. The more you're trying to claim, the higher the fee is going to be, and this form is then sent to the defendant. You name the defendant on the form. So the defendant gets the form. They may agree to pay the money. They may agree to pay the money but have to pay it in instalments. Or they may dispute the claim and issue what's called an N9 form. I don't know what happens between 2 and 8. And they have to file that within 14 days. Or they can acknowledge that they've received it and ask for extra time to prepare their defence. If the defendant fails to respond, the judge can do what's called a judgment in default and order the defendant to pay the money. So once all the forms have been received, the court decides which track to allocate them to. So first of all, the small claims track. It's not the small claims court. So many textbooks refer to it as a court. It's not a separate court. It's a track. So contract and tort cases up to £10,000 will be heard here. It's only £1,000 for personal injury and landlord and tenant cases. It's heard, part of the county court, heard by a district judge, and it's really strictly limited in terms of time, probably 2 to 3 hours, and they really limit the number of witnesses, so it's very quick. The next track is called the fast track. So the fast track, you allocate cases that are between 10 and 25,000. Again, heard in the county court in front of a district judge. And again, it's time limited, so it's really case managed. But this is, because it's higher in value, it's going to take a little bit longer. So it's probably going to be a 1-day court case, and they aim to hear those cases within 30 days of allocation. And then the final track is the multi-track. So this is cases £25,000 to £50,000. It's heard in the county court, but not by a district judge. It's heard by a circuit judge, and they do circuits around the country. If it's complex or probably over £50,000, it will get sent to the High Court. There's still a strict timetable, and they still try and limit the number of witnesses. So the aim is to get through these cases as quickly as possible. So the other court that hears cases for the very first time is called the High Court. And the High Court is based in London, the Royal Courts of Justice. Beautiful white building. You probably have seen it on television, in movies, on the news. So the High Court is split into 3 divisions. The first division is Chancery, so the Chancery division, and they will hear property cases over £100,000, trusts, probate, and a single judge is assigned to one of the 3 divisions. Again, they'll listen to the case, hear the evidence, and make a decision. The Family division, heard in private because often it's sensitive issues, deals with the welfare of children, deals with high-profile divorces, which are high value. A lot of their powers come under the Children Act 1989. The Queen's Bench division is actually the largest division of the High Court. This is the 3rd division. They will hear contract and tort cases of £100,000 plus or complex smaller value cases. They also deal with some appeals, which we will come on to in another video, and they will deal with judicial review. So that is the jurisdiction of the civil courts. Tune in for appeals.